Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something raw, something most people don't want to hear. The nights that shape your future are not the nights you post on social media. They're not the nights people clap for you. They're the nights when it's quiet, when your phone is face down, when nobody is watching, and you're sitting alone with your thoughts, your doubts, your fears, and yes, your tears. That night you cry alone, that's not weakness. That's construction. Because while the world sees confidence, smiles, and motivation quotes, the real work is happening when you feel ignored, underestimated, rejected, broke, confused, or lost. That's the moment most people quit. That's the moment most people numb themselves with distractions. And that's exactly why most people stay average. Pain is not the enemy. Avoiding pain is. When you cry alone, you're processing reality. You're facing the truth without filters. You're finally honest with yourself. And honesty is the foundation of growth. You don't build resilience in comfort. You build it when life punches you in the mouth and you decide not to stay down. Nobody talks about the lonely grind. Nobody celebrates the unseen discipline. Nobody shares the nights when you question your worth, your direction, your talent. But those nights are data. Those emotions are feedback. And if you're smart, you don't run from them, you learn from them. Here's the brutal truth. Nobody is coming to save you in those moments. And that's good news. Because the second you stop waiting for rescue, you start building self-reliance. You stop blaming parents, friends, society, luck, or timing. You take ownership. You wake up the next morning tired, emotionally drained, but still willing to show up. That willingness is everything. Pain in private is preparation, not punishment. Most people misunderstand pain because they only see it as something negative, something to escape from, something that means life is going wrong. But the truth is, the moments that hurt the most when nobody is around, when there's no audience, no sympathy, no validation, are the moments where real preparation happens. When you suffer in silence, you are forced to confront yourself without distractions. There is no performance, no pretending, no external approval to lean on. It's just you in reality, and that's where growth starts. Private pain sharpens awareness. It exposes weaknesses you didn't know you had and insecurities you tried to ignore. When you fail publicly, you can hide behind excuses. When you hurt privately, there's nowhere to run. You start asking real questions. Why did this affect me so deeply? What am I avoiding? What do I need to change? That self-interrogation is uncomfortable, but it's powerful. It builds emotional intelligence, self-control, and clarity skills that success demands but comfort never teaches. Pain without an audience also builds discipline. When no one is watching, you learn whether you're truly committed or just addicted to praise. Showing up after a sleepless night, after disappointment, after self-doubt, that's preparation for pressure. Life doesn't warn you before testing you. Private pain trains you to operate under emotional weight without collapsing. It teaches you how to keep moving even when motivation is gone and belief feels weak. There's also humility in private pain. It strips ego away. It reminds you that you're not entitled to success, happiness, or recognition. Everything has to be earned. That realization changes how you work. You stop chasing shortcuts and start respecting the process. You become more patient, more resilient, and less fragile. You stop needing the world to understand you in order to continue. Most importantly, pain in private rewires your relationship with struggle. Instead of seeing it as a sign to quit, you begin to see it as proof that you're in the arena, that you're stretching beyond comfort, that you're building something that matters. The people who win long-term aren't the ones who never hurt. They're the ones who learned how to use pain as fuel. What feels like punishment in the moment is actually preparation for bigger responsibilities, higher pressure, and greater impact. No applause moments create real strength because they force you to rely on something deeper than recognition. When there's no clapping, no likes, no comments, and no one telling you that you're doing great, you find out why you're really doing the work. Most people are motivated by external validation. They move fast when they're praised and slow down when they're ignored. That's not strength, that's dependency. Real strength is built when you keep going even when it feels like your effort doesn't matter to anyone but you. The absence of applause removes the illusion of importance. You realize very quickly that the world is not keeping score of your daily discipline. Nobody cares if you wake up early, if you stay late, if you practice after failure. And that realization can either break you or free you. If you need constant recognition, you'll quit. If you understand that progress doesn't need an audience, you'll grow. Strength is born the moment you decide that your standards matter more than public approval. Working without applause also builds patience. Results take time, and during that time, there is usually silence. No feedback, no signs you're on the right path. This is where most people panic and change direction, not because the path is wrong, but because it's quiet. Staying consistent in silence teaches you how to trust the process. It trains your mind to stay calm without reassurance. That patience becomes an unfair advantage in a world obsessed with instant feedback. No applause moments also harden your mindset against rejection. When you're used to silence, criticism loses its power. You stop tying your identity to how others respond. You learn to separate effort from outcome and self-worth from attention. That emotional independence makes you dangerous in the best way. You can take risks, fail publicly, and still return to work the next day because your confidence was never built on claps in the first place. There's also honesty in working without applause. You can't fake consistency when nobody's watching. You either do the work or you don't. That honesty builds integrity. You start respecting yourself more because you know what you've endured without recognition. That self-respect becomes the backbone of real confidence, not loud confidence, not performative confidence, but quiet, unshakable belief built through repetition in the dark. In the long run, applause is a byproduct, not the foundation. The people who can handle success are the ones who learned how to survive silence. They don't crumble when attention fades, and they don't chase noise to feel alive. Their strength was built in moments no one saw, and that's why it lasts. Accountability is born in lonely nights because that's when there is no one left to blame. During the day, it's easy to point fingers at circumstances, people, timing, or bad luck. Noise gives you excuses. Distractions protect your ego. But at night, when everything slows down and you're alone with your thoughts, the truth gets loud. You replay conversations, decisions, missed chances, and avoided responsibilities. And in that silence, you either lie to yourself or you finally take ownership. Lonely nights force clarity. There's no external pressure telling you what to think or how to feel. You begin to recognize patterns in your behavior. You notice where you keep making the same mistakes, where you keep choosing comfort over growth, and where you've been expecting results without putting in the work. That realization hurts, but it's necessary. Accountability always hurts before it empowers. The moment you admit, this is on me, you regain control over your future. True accountability isn't about guilt or self-punishment. It's about responsibility. When you stop waiting for conditions to change and accept that your actions or inactions have consequences, everything shifts. Lonely nights teach you that nobody owes you motivations, support, or belief. If your life isn't moving forward, it's not because the world is against you. It's because something in your habits, mindset, or effort needs to change. That awareness is the starting point of real growth. In solitude, you also learn to hold yourself to standards instead of moods. There's no coach watching, no mentor correcting you, no audience to impress. You either show up for yourself or you don't. Lonely nights reveal whether you have self-respect or just ambition. Ambition wants results. Self-respect demands consistency. Accountability grows when you choose discipline even when emotions are heavy and energy is low. These moments also build emotional maturity. You stop reacting and start reflecting. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what am I supposed to learn from this? That shift changes everything. You move from victim to owner. You stop wasting time on resentment and start investing time in improvement. That mindset compounds over time, turning small adjustments into massive change. Accountability born in loneliness is powerful because it's honest. There's no performance, no image to protect. Just you, the truth, and the decision to do better tomorrow than you did today. Emotional discipline separates winners from talkers because success demands control long before it demands talent. Everyone has emotions. Everyone feels fear, frustration, jealousy, anger, self-doubt, and exhaustion. The difference is not who feels them, it's who lets those emotions decide their actions. Talkers let emotions lead. Winners learn how to feel everything and still execute. Emotional discipline is the ability to pause instead of react. When something doesn't go your way, when plans fall apart, when people disappoint you, the instinct is to complain, quit, or lash out. That reaction might feel justified, but it costs you momentum. Discipline teaches you to absorb the emotion, understand it, and then move forward anyway. You don't deny how you feel, you just don't let it drive the car. Most people confuse motivation with discipline. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Discipline is structural. It shows up regardless of mood. Winners don't wait to feel confident, inspired, or ready. They move first and let emotions catch up later. Talkers wait for the perfect mindset, the perfect energy, the perfect timing, and end up doing nothing consistently. Emotional discipline also shows up in how you handle losses. Some people let one failure define them. They spiral, overthink, and start doubting their entire path. Others take the hit, learn the lesson, and return to work without drama. That's not luck or toughness. It's trained emotional control. It's knowing that emotions are temporary, but habits are permanent. Another key part of emotional discipline is restraint. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every emotion needs to be shared. Winners know when to stay quiet and focused. Talkers need to announce every struggle, every plan, every excuse. Emotional discipline protects your energy. It keeps you from leaking focus into noise, opinions, and unnecessary battles. It also builds long-term confidence. When you prove to yourself that you can operate under pressure, disappointment, and uncertainty, trust grows. You stop panicking when things get hard because you've been there before. You've trained yourself to function in discomfort. That confidence is earned, not imagined. In the end, talent gets attention, but emotional discipline gets results. The people who win consistently are not the loudest or the most emotional. They're the ones who mastered themselves when no one was watching, who stayed calm in chaos, and who kept executing while others were busy talking about how they felt. Consistency after heartbreak builds the future because pain either becomes an excuse or a catalyst. Heartbreak doesn't just come from relationships, it comes from failure, betrayal, rejection, loss, and unmet expectations. It shakes your confidence and drains your energy. In those moments, stopping feels justified, resting turns into quitting, and that's where futures quietly die. The people who create something meaningful are the ones who keep showing up even when their heart feels heavy. Heartbreak disrupts rhythm. Your mind is louder, your focus is weaker, and your motivation feels fake. Consistency in that state isn't about intensity, it's about refusal. Refusal to let one chapter erase the entire story. Even small actions, showing up, sticking to a routine, doing the minimum on bad days, create stability when emotions are chaotic. That stability becomes the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. Most people wait to feel healed before they move forward. That's a trap. Healing often happens through movement, not before it. Consistency gives your mind proof that you are still capable, still disciplined, still in control. Each repeated action, no matter how small, rebuilds trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of any strong future. There's also identity at stake. After heartbreak, it's easy to redefine yourself as broken, unlucky, or behind. Consistency protects your identity. It reminds you that pain is something you're experiencing, not something you are. When you keep your promises to yourself during hard times, you reinforce the belief that you are reliable under pressure. That belief compounds faster than motivation ever could. Consistency after heartbreak also builds emotional strength without bitterness. Instead of numbing the pain or running from it, you channel it into structure. You don't become cold, you become focused. You don't shut down, you sharpen. Over time, the same pain that once distracted you becomes fuel. Not because it hurt, but because you didn't stop. The future is built by habits, not moments. Heartbreak is a moment. Consistency is a practice. When you choose the practice despite the pain, you create momentum that outlasts the emotion. Long after the heartbreak fades, the discipline remains, and that discipline becomes the framework for everything you build next. The nights of pain, silence, and loneliness are not wasted moments. They are the training ground for your future. What you do when no one is watching, applauding, or comforting you defines who you become. If you learn to take ownership, control your emotions, and stay consistent through heartbreak, you turn struggle into strength. The future is not built in comfort or noise. It is built in quiet resilience, disciplined action, and the decision to keep moving forward even when it hurts. Thank you.